What's up, everybody? Old School back again, and we got some good info here on Throne and Liberty. Looks like I've gathered quite a bit of information that I have not seen around yet. So, we are going to be discussing basically the release of Throne and Liberty, the new interview with the game director, how it's a classless MMORPG, some of the PvP features, some of the features of the dynamic world, and a little bit about guilds. So, let's start off with the release. What do we know about that? Well, they just recently, like literally 3 days ago, had an NCSoft investor conference, and basically, we were expecting to hear something about a delay possibly, but there was none. So, as of right now, Throne and Liberty officially is set to a release this year. And that's all we really know. We also know that it's definitely coming to PC, obviously, and we know that it's coming to PlayStation 5. That's all we know about that for now. So let's go to the classless system, which I think is pretty interesting. So it's a weapon-based system where your skills/abilities are going to be directly related to the weapons that you use. So picture like an Elder Scrolls Online type of system, but the difference is Guild Wars 2 uses that too, but the difference is you don't actually have a class like in Guild Wars 2 or Elder Scrolls Online. So your role is defined 100% by the weapons that you choose to use. So I think that's pretty interesting, and I like the idea of trying to do what ESO and Guild Wars 2 did, but without the limitation of classes. And, that's going to create kind of a system where you don't have like FOMO from class of the month. You're not chasing alts because this and that other class is now all of a sudden got a buff and your class got nerfed. It makes it easier to group and do group content because anybody can fill any role. So I like the idea of this. They're already doing this currently in testing, and it's working great. So we're going to see what happens over here in the West when they release. The next thing we'll discuss is the dynamic world. Now, by dynamic, I mean this world is going to be zoneless. There are no loading screens. That's what we're promised right now. And you can almost imagine an EverQuest 2 style dungeon system where dungeons are now public domain. Anybody can go into the same dungeon at the same time, and you're competing for mobs and loot. I love that system. It makes it more competitive to do PvE, makes the game more exciting. And if you add PvP into that type of element, it's just a wild scene. So anyways, back to the dynamic world. The game director recently said that most of the dungeons are going to have a lot of layers. So for this, picture kind of like Torghast in World of Warcraft. But the difference is there's multiple groups, different people, all in the same Torghast. And you can cast spells on each other, buffing and helping and yada, yada, yada with different groups. So that's kind of all we know so far about the dungeons in the dynamic world. We also know that weather is going to be a real thing. So I've noticed that some of the skills that come from like bows, they have like some sort of wind element to them. We'll see how that works. I do know for a fact that the lightning magic that comes from the lightning abilities will jump to other targets if it's raining out. So that's like kind of like the system they're trying to build is like, the weather affects gameplay. And I like that idea. Seems kind of cool. Another thing about that is like when it rains in Throne and Liberty, certain areas that didn't have water now have water. And it makes like, they gave an example of an ancient doorway in some, zone where you're there and you can only access it once it rains, because when it rains the water comes up and it releases the gate and the doorway opens. So that's another thing. This dynamic world is going to affect where we have access to and what we can do. And we've only got a few more things to cover. We're going to go over this quick, although you got a lot of information quickly. Another thing is going to be the guilds. We know a little bit about guilds. What we know is they're going to be guild wars. And that means that your guild can fight another guild, and you'll be competing for these things called possession stones. And those are going to be powerful relics that basically give you the ability to upgrade your guild and to acquire like rare crafting mats and stuff. So you guys can go do like raids because you have the right equipment. So that's going to be important, are these guild wars, this PvP versus, large scale battles, guild versus guild. So on that note, let's wrap it up with the PvP. What do we know about that? Well, the whole world is going to basically be a sanctuary, meaning like you can't just run around in PvP anywhere at any time. Now, there are going to be events, and picture kind of like a Guild Wars 2 event where like you start this thing because you see it on the map, and then, after people work together and beat a certain phase, you end up going to a different phase and then finally a boss phase. So they're going to have like events in Throne and Liberty, and they're going to be like zone specific, area specific. And zone is a bad word because zone kind of refers to an area that you're zoning in and out of. I guess it's better to say areas in Throne and Liberty because it's going to be a seamless world. So you're not zoning in and out. It's more just like a map area. Anyways, so PvP will be designated to certain map areas. You'll have events that get flagged in the system, and any player can look at the events in real time. You'll see when a PvP event is going to occur. It'll tell you where, like what area and at what time, and everyone can go there and kind of battle it out. Once you're doing PvP, you are going to be able to increase your PvP rank by not only participating in these events, but by killing other players. And they haven't really gotten to what PvP ranks are going to do so much. I'm hoping it's kind of like a Warhammer system, but we'll see. And that's about all we've got. If you're interested in all of the information, you can have a look at the recent interview with the game design director, and that's where I got most of my information from. So yeah, there you go. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I figured I'd just get that out there for everybody. So have a great day, and if you didn't like and subscribe, please, because the channel is brand new. It's an older channel, but I just started producing content for it. We got a website up. It's kind of in beta. We're working on it. You can check that out too. And that's it, guys. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to playing a new MMORPG that doesn't suck very, very soon. Take care.